right. It's a new day. It's a new episode of Your Daily Scrum. I'm professional Scrum trainer Ryan Ripley. That's professional Scrum trainer Todd Miller. Together we run Agile for Humans, the premier Scrum and Kanban training company in the world. Co-wrote Fixing Your Scrum, Practical Solutions to Common Scrum Problems. Provide a lot of content here up on YouTube. Be sure to like and subscribe. Never miss an episode. Leave us your questions and comments below. Your questions turn into future videos. Your comments make us happy. Unless they don't.
Unless
all right.
they don't.
Mr. Miller, we got a question actually from the comments that Todd has actually turned into a lesson. I love these boards that he's been doing lately. So this is a question that came in. What's the difference between acceptance criteria and the definition of done? So these are two concepts that typically are bounced around Scrum teams. Todd, take it away. What's the difference? Acceptance criteria and definition of done.
Yeah, we've seen this one a couple times in the comments, so we thought we would use a visual for it. And so what you're looking at here, Ryan and I are just launching a product backlog management course. And so I put our product backlog up here for it, right? And some of the things on our definition of done, right? And so on this left-hand side here, you can see PBI's product backlog items, right? We want to have user story mapping as part of this product backlog management course, ordering techniques as part of this product backlog management course, stakeholder management. And so these may get decomposed into smaller PBIs, or we might just work on something like this altogether, right? So user story mapping. This column here is acceptance criteria. And if you see, this is about building the right thing. We want a creative and interactive exercise for user story mapping. We want to provide some reference material from Jeff Patton's book on user story mapping, or at least call that out. Say, make sure to reference Jeff Patton's book, right? Describe when to use user story mapping or scenarios where you may use it, and then a group debrief. So these are elements. These are things about building the thing right? It kind of leaves this generic thing, which we may have written in user story format or not, and puts it down in just a couple pieces of build the right thing, right? And you see, we've got other PBIs here. This one isn't quite finished being put together yet, missing a piece or two of acceptance criteria, probably. But what's interesting about this, though, let's say in a sprint, user story mapping is a product backlog item that we begin working on, and Ryan and I are working on this together, right? The moment this meets the definition of done, we have an increment. So acceptance criteria is complementary practice to Scrum, right? And the second this PBI meets the definition of done, an increment is born. Scrum requires that that increment is usable. And the definition of done, conversely, applies to all of these PBIs, right? Whenever a product backlog item hits the definition of done, an increment is born, right? And this is about building the thing right. So building the right thing, acceptance criteria, building the thing right. And these are conditions that we have that mark completedness. Does the user story mapping PBI meet the learning objective? Did Ryan and Todd review it with each other? Has it been tested on students? Because we don't want to go live with an activity or an exercise that we haven't worked, shown the world and gotten feedback on and improved. Is the acceptance criteria met? Is what we've built visually appealing? Does it promote student interaction over lecture? And training from the back of the room compatible? Does it meet philosophically some of the stuff from training from the back of the room? So this shows completedness, right? This shows completedness as compared to, is this the right thing that we're supposed to build? What do you think, Ryan?
Yeah, I like that framing, Todd, quite a bit. It's the right thing versus building it right. So acceptance criteria tells developers, here's how you know that you've built the right thing. The definition of done tells the developers, here's how you know you've built it right. And I think that's a really important distinction. I think you can see the difference between the two pieces of information that Todd's given here. What I really like too, Todd, is how you've made it very explicit. The definition of done applies to all of the PBIs. Mm-hmm. Acceptance criteria applies to individual PBIs. Yeah. And so I really like to think of this as definition of done tells us when we would even be willing to put this work in front of a user. Right. And I think that's an important difference that we're going to be talking through here as well.
Yeah, you just started hitting on these things, and that's why I kind of shifted on you, Ryan. Sorry if it was distracting to you. because I started hearing you were mentioning these things: quality owner, build the thing right, applicable to all PBIs. Really, we're talking about an increment at this point, where we're talking acceptance criteria. Build the right thing. These are optional in Scrum too. Definition of done is required, right? What else are you seeing on this board, Ryan, that you like?
Yeah, I
just
think
might be missing.
I'm not sure if much is missing here, right? I like how you've called out that acceptance criteria is optional in Scrum, but the definition of done is not.
Mm-hmm.
Definition of done is a commitment made to the increment in Scrum. It's not optional, and it's all about usability. I think this is a very clear line that we're drawing in the sand here between definition of done and acceptance criteria. Build the thing right versus build the right thing. And hopefully this is helping some light bulbs go off in the listeners' minds. And it's helping people get a really good feel for the differences and the nuances between the two.
By the way, I just want to call out that I heard build the thing right, build the right thing from somebody somewhere at some time. And I don't know who it was, if it was in like a sideway conversation or whatever. I don't know if you've heard the same thing, Ryan. I wish I knew who created that saying, because I think it's really great. If you're out there and you see this, tell us it was you and we'll give you credit for it.
Yeah, I really like here too, Todd, that definition of done is quality oriented. Acceptance criteria is outcome or requirement oriented. And I think that's a very smart differentiation as well. So hopefully that now makes sense. Let us know in the comments. Leave us has this generated new questions. Let us know below. We'd be more than happy to jump into this topic again and make sure there's clarity. It's very important you understand how the definition of done is significantly different than acceptance criteria, and how the definition of done is a required commitment to the increment, and acceptance criteria it's optional information that goes on a PBI. All right.
Dig it.
End screen time.
End screen.
Nice work. All right. Check out the socials. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a video. Leave us a comment or question below. We love your comments. We love your questions even more because we turn them into videos. Be sure to check out everything we have coming up in the description. Lots of good things mentioned there as well. Classes, books, all sorts of things. We'll leave it at that. For Todd Miller, I'm Ryan Ripley. Go forward, do some good things. Maybe refresh your teams on definition of done and acceptance criteria. Maybe it's that time of year where it's you have an opportunity to do so. Let us know how it goes. We'll see you next time.